Program contains graphic images. Viewer discretion is advised. Today on an all-new Dr. Phil.
She was barely alive. She had lost both ears, her nose, her cheeks, her upper lip, and her lower chin had been pulled away and was hanging.
He actually sprung off the ground, taking my head, going back and forth.
Jerking you around. He finally released.
Something fell on the ground, and it was my lips with my nose.
You could just see straight up through my nose and then just all my teeth.
Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today is going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
Get ready to take care of you. She is one of the bravest young women I have ever met. It was a conversation yesterday that I just had to continue today. Jacqueline was savagely attacked by 2 dogs she was hired to watch. It was so brutal, it took police 37 minutes before they felt safe enough to enter the house because of the dogs. That's 37 minutes these canines were left to relentlessly attack this poor girl. Here's what happened yesterday.
2 separate dog attacks in our area. One that has left a man in critical condition.
And in the other, a 12-year-old was attacked after getting off a school bus.
Who's to blame when a protective dog crosses the line and becomes aggressive, becomes dangerous, goes on the attack?
Home surveillance shows 2 pit bulls approach the man as he tries to shoo them away, and they begin to attack. An attack so vicious, we won't show it.
4 days ago, this 61-year-old mail carrier was mauled to death by a pack of dogs.
On September 17th, I was visiting a friend. While I was there, her pit bull Havoc attacked me for no reason and without warning. He ripped off my scalp, and when I fell to the floor, the attack continued.
You didn't see this coming at all?
No, not at all.
How much of your scalp was ripped off?
5 by 10.
This was down to the skull, right?
Yes, they couldn't reattach it.
Her actions caused what happened. And he didn't maul her. He didn't maul her. There was no blood.
You say that she's just exaggerating this and that your dog was euthanized and should not have been.
Yes, sir.
And you say there was no blood, or?
No. I gave her a paper towel.
You say you just gave her a paper towel.
Yes, sir.
I can't show these pictures to the audience.
I don't know what all that is. When did that happen?
I'm assuming it happened in the same time. That's skull, that's bone. Should have a skin graft. You don't fix that with a paper towel.
I hate that it happened.
Do you?
Yes, I do.
It doesn't seem like you do. Have you said that to her?
Yeah, she knows that.
How would I know that? You were there, you saw. I mean, it was pretty horrific. Pretty horrific.
This is a story about what happened to 22-year-old Jacqueline Duran, an experienced dog sitter in North Texas. She was mauled by 2 dogs. A medic rescued Jacqueline and ran out with her.
I opened the front door, and 2 of the 3 dogs immediately attacked me and targeted my face, and I had hundreds of bites all over my body. I was in a coma for 8 days. I'm set to have my 18th surgery. I will need more eyelid surgeries, more lip surgeries. I will need to get cranial implants for prosthetic ears, more nose surgeries, and my face can function better.
Jacqueline, I'm so glad to meet you and so glad you're here. What you've been through is really hard to wrap your head around. How many times were you bitten?
I had over 800 bites on my body.
800 bites.
They pushed the door open with their heads, and I was immediately brought down to the ground.
You know, I've been a student of human nature all my life, and the will to live, the will to survive is something that is, it's different in different people. And you see certain people that have astounding courage in the face of overwhelming odds. And You may not feel that way, but I can tell you there are a lot of people that would never have come out of that alive. And you are a courageous young woman. Now, since that day, she's been documenting her recovery and says she still has a long way to go. And you can look here at what she's been through in terms of the reconstructive surgeries in April 22, July 22, August, and February 23. And you say you've had 18 surgeries?
18 surgeries.
Since the attack? And do they have any estimate of how many more you'll have to go through?
They don't know the number of surgeries, but they assume 1 to 2 more years.
Of just going through it?
Yes.
And tell me, what kind of conversation do you have with yourself to get up for these surgeries each time? What do you say to yourself about that?
I tell myself that when I come out of anesthesia, I'm going to look different, or I'm going to feel better, because I'm just one step closer to being restored as much as I can be.
Right.
And I have full faith in my surgeons, and I put it in their hands to take care of me, and so I put the trust in them.
Mm-hmm. When you go through a surgery, then you have the recovery afterwards. And so you're just in constant either getting ready for a surgery or in recovery from a surgery. So do you ever have any time when you're not either immediately getting ready for a surgery or recovering from one? Do they ever give you any downtime to just be?
I do. The process is usually, recently it's been 4 months in between surgeries.
Okay.
So as of the time that I got this skin flap on my face, it was July, and I didn't get another surgery until December. And now I'm going to get one in March.
Okay. So that was the longest interval.
Yes.
Okay. And that's so they can have tissue expanders where they get more tissue to work with?
It's so that they can actually debulk and take out tissue.
Uh-huh.
And so it'll get slimmed down to an extent.
Okay. And what's your attitude and mindset during that 6-month period? What do you think about? What do you focus on?
I try to stay busy, because I think that keeping my mind off of things as much as I can helps, and also just being around people who care about me. And my 2 dogs at home have been therapy for me, because they don't leave my side, and they're amazing.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people would say, I wouldn't want to be around any animals, or I'd become a cat woman or something. And then we see a picture of you there with your face up against a dog. How do you feel about that, being around a dog like that?
I'm not generally scared of dogs. It's certain breeds that I will now stay completely away from. And there's just triggers that come with that, with certain breeds. With my dogs, they're very calm, and they've been trained from the beginning.
Right. So this dog here, is this a golden?
It's a lab mix.
Uh-huh. And you trust this dog 100%?
Absolutely. I've had her for 12 years.
The attack occurred on December 23rd, 2021. Her birthday is December 24th. She turned 22. She was barely alive. She had lost both ears, her nose, her cheeks, her upper lip, and her chin had been pulled away.
And later,
I play it back in my head trying to find something that would make sense. There was nothing that caused the dog to snap. He actually sprung off the ground, and he was probably attacking me for 60 seconds.
Are these your parents here?
Yes.
Hi, guys.
Dr. Phil.
Tell me how you guys have gotten through this and dealt with this. I know you have to have great admiration for the strength and spirit of your daughter here. So, John, what was it like when you found out what had happened and seeing what happened to your baby girl here?
Well, Dr. Phil, the attack actually occurred exactly 14 months to the day, and it's a moment that's frozen in time, in our lifetime, and will be forever. And when we got to the hospital, she was in the middle of undergoing 8 hours of life-saving surgery. We didn't find out until actually the attack occurred on December 23rd, 2021. Her birthday is December 24th. The clock moved past midnight. She turned 22 as she was barely alive, laying on the table. We found out that she had lost both ears, her nose, her cheeks, her jaw muscles, her upper lip, and her chin had been pulled away and was hanging from her skull and facial structure. So for us, it's been living day to day. It's been just absolutely blessed, first of all, by her survival, her courage. I know I'm her dad, but I can tell you I've never known a more courageous person than my daughter. And I see it every day, and I see the response that she elicits from followers all over the world. And the attitude that she has, no doubt, is helping her healing process. You know, as she lay in a coma for 8 days, her mother and I and the rest of our family just kept wondering, how are we going to be strong for her? And what it's been is she has been so strong for us. She, just her being with us and so much in tune with looking at the future, her future. She was 3 semesters shy of graduating with her undergraduate degree. She's now back in school, taking a couple classes online. She just found out she started working at an internship where she can do that in a hybrid fashion. She is a miracle on top of miracles, and we are just so blessed and grateful that she's here with us today.
As I say, Robin and I have a home in Dallas, and so we became aware of this the second it happened, and we've been following it very, very closely. And I think we're in contact with y'all a long time ago. She wasn't in any position to talk about it, but we just were in contact to let y'all know. And so I've watched the progress along the way, and it's, as I say, you know, different people call on different strengths to get along, and it truly is inspirational. I mean, people watch this and go, I've had people I've talked to about it that have said things to me like, I'll never complain about anything again ever in my life. Not a sore foot, not a bad knee, not anything, when you see the strength and spirit. And it's the same way with you guys. Mom, what's it been like for you? It's got to be hard to watch this.
It is. We're just so blessed to have her still. It's just been, she's truly amazing. It's been hard.
Yeah, and you know, surely there have to be times where, you know, you've thought, how can she take any more? I mean, how can you go through, first wake up and find out what's happened to you, right, and then look at this road ahead and not know what the outcome is going to be, and go through this time and time again, but she just doesn't ever seem to break.
She never did. And we lost her multiple times on the table. We didn't know that till months later. And just to know how strong she is, I knew she was going to be okay. And from day one, when we got to see her that first time, we just dove in and hadn't stopped.
Yeah.
And as John said, we thought we were going to be strong for her. She's been so strong.
Some dogs can care less, come and let you take all the TVs, and some of them won't let you step 1 foot in the house, you know, so it's very important to know the temperament of your animal.
What do you have to say to dog owners? Do you think you put pressure on yourself to stay strong for your parents?
I don't think as much as people think I could, because they know that I'm very blunt to the point, very truthful. And another reason why I don't want to be, I want to show my feelings is because social media usually hides everything that is bad. And I want to make it a point on social media that there are times where you just can't hide it. And it's good to see the bad, because there's no way there's 100% good in someone's life.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I can tell you, having a specialty in behavioral medicine, the point at which your psychological functioning and your physiological functioning merge, it's not a weakness to be vulnerable. And, there are times when it's okay to let them hold you up and not have to, steal against everything every day. It's okay to, don't seem to have it today. It's okay to let others hold you up sometimes and not have to be strong every single day, because you got a loving support system here that cares about you, and that's part of being real as well. And I can tell you that the attitude that you have is such an outcome determinative factor with all that you're going through. This attitude has such an impact on what the end result will be, because seriously, you heal faster, you move through the process so much better, and you will have so much better outcome when you've got the attitude that you have. And the treatments that we have today are so much better. And what do you have to say to dog owners? You heard what I was saying to Valina earlier, and Josh was saying about dog owners have to be responsible, but having been through what you've been through, what do you have to say to dog owners?
I think it's the most important thing to communicate with visitors, sitters, whoever it is, who walk into their homes, to understand their pet's behavior and to acknowledge it and to make sure that they communicate it to those people.
Yeah, and be real about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, if there's an issue. The dog we had for 13 years that we lost before the two we have now was a Korean Jindo, and was incredibly protective of us and wouldn't bother anybody for any reason, but didn't want anybody petting her. And we would tell everybody, don't pet the dog. Dog will never bother you. Just don't reach down, because the dog questioned the intent. We'd reach down. So we told everybody we knew, don't pet the dog. And some people would say, oh, I'm great with dogs. Not with this one, you're not. Don't pet this dog. We told everybody. And it was great. But you got to tell people. You got to know your dog and tell people about your dog. And Josh, you say dogs can get really aggressive in the home because they're territorial, right? That's their job. They're protecting.
Yeah, well, that's one of the characteristics. There's 16 dimensions of temperament, and one of them is the territoriality. And some dogs can care less, come and let you take all the TVs, and some of them won't let you step 1 foot in the house. So it's very important to know the temperament of your animal.
Yeah. And different breeds have it to different degrees, right?
Absolutely. We have to understand that a lot of dogs were originally bred to be guard dogs and to, have that kind of herding mentality. Or these certain dogs are, for example, pit bulls. They are bred to fight each other, and that's the reality. And a lot of people tend to humanize these dogs when, in fact, they need to keep in mind that this is a predatory animal and that they're not humans, and you can't let them have all those type of privileges because they will have a certain amount of entitlement, and it will contribute to dominant behavior that can then get dangerous.
Yeah. What do you have here?
This is my boy Slash. This is one of my dogs, my pride and joy. Great dog, trained in full protection, but has the ability to turn it off and to totally be social with kids and people and whatever. So it's really about understanding the temperament and making sure that you're compensating for your dog's characteristics.
Mm-hmm. Seems pretty well behaved.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. When you see a dog like this that's clearly under control, and are you comfortable with that?
Yes, especially with a professional on the other end of the leash.
Yeah. You like to know that for sure. We're going to meet Brooklyn, who says she was petting her cousin's dog when he just snapped and attacked her. We're going to add her to this story when we come back.
I went and acted in the bathroom, and then that was the first time I actually had looked at myself in the mirror. And the only way I can describe myself was looking like a skeleton, straight up through my nose and then just all my teeth.
Closed captioning provided by Okay. Today we're talking about the rise in dog attacks in recent years. Now, 23-year-old Brooklyn is another victim. She says 2 years ago she was visiting her family when their dog just snapped, causing major injuries to her face.
Crazy how your life can change in a split second. I don't have any pain, kind of hard to talk. I look like a skeleton.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Brooklyn Corey. I was attacked by a pit bull. We weren't playing, he was just sitting, and I was kind of petting his head, telling him how good of a boy he was. I was standing up. I turned around, I turned back, and he literally lunged at my face, shaking my head like a dog, and then he finally released my head. Something fell on the ground. We went and picked it up, and it was my lip, with my nose and the top part of my lip attached. It took 11 minutes to get to the hospital. So they sewed all my skin to the inner parts of my gums, and my nose they had to sew down. The first day I came back from the hospital, I was looking at myself in the mirror. My parents were helping me get my face dressing on, and I looked at them in front of the mirror, and I almost had a breakdown because it just kind of hit me. I was scared of myself, but in a week I've learned to just love myself, accept what I look like right now, and just know this is not what I'm gonna look like for the rest of my life.
Well, Brooklyn, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Have you met each other backstage?
No. So when I first got into the attack, I wasn't able to find anyone online that had gone through something similar or somebody that was experiencing what I was going through. So I started posting my story in case that, unfortunately, if someone was going through it, they could be able to relate. And a lot of times when I was just posting my stuff, I was just posting it to see the progress and how I was going to heal. But I ended up getting a message and messaging Jacqueline because I had noticed that she was going through something. And I'm pretty sure you reached out to me and was like, hey, I'm seeing your story. We were able to just, I think, relate based on what we're both going through. So,
okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, now you meet in person.
I know, it's great. We were having so much fun backstage, so.
That's great. So this, like we've talked about before, was nothing, no red flags. You didn't see anything coming at all.
No, not at all.
You were just petting this dog, say, good boy, good boy.
Yeah, I was.
And you turn around and boom.
Yeah, I was standing in the kitchen. I play it back in my head trying to find something that would make sense. No dog toy, no dog bowl. There was nothing that caused the dog to snap or act aggressively. But I was petting his head, and I turned to look at my cousin, and I turned back, and he actually sprung off the ground, and my fight or flight kicked in. I was going in kind of like a sumo wrestling position, just holding his head and just going wherever he went. He was probably attacking me for 60 seconds, and then finally felt a release. Then something flew and hit the wall and then dropped on the ground. And then I just noticed blood and yeah.
Wow. And when he finally released and so you got away from him and there was space between you, what did the dog do then?
He started making really crazy sounds. I always relate it to Stranger Things, the Demogorgon sound. It was just very vicious and like just weird noises. So I told my cousin at the time, I was like, I need to go, like, he's gonna attack me again. She kept saying, he's gonna attack you again, he's gonna attack you again. So I went and actually hid into the bathroom, and then that was the first time I actually had looked at myself in the mirror. And the only way I can describe myself was kind of looking like a skeleton. You could just see straight up through my nose and then just all my teeth, so.
Right. And you said once he got a hold of you, he was shaking back and forth like tug-of-war, dog toy jerking you around back and forth.
Yeah, he was taking my head, going back and forth, and then he started going back and forth like this, and then back and forth again. And then that's when I was able to get him off.
What would trigger a dog to do this?
There's usually some kind of warning sign somewhere in the dog's behavior. Thing is that the signs are there, but we can't be in denial.
Closed captioning provided by Josh, what's happening at this point? I mean, this is a dog that's her cousin's dog. She's not a total stranger. She's petting the dog, so there's not anything aggressive or confrontational between the two. She's not like locked into a stare contest or anything. And then, boom, it goes off. You've got fear, protection, territoriality, food, all these things that can trigger. It seems like none of these were in play at the time. What would trigger a dog to do this?
Well, a big thing that people tend to ignore, there's usually some kind of warning sign somewhere in the dog's behavior. So whoever owns the dog, most likely there was something, but dogs don't speak. You have to read their body language. So a lot of times it could be fearful. Sometimes it could just be dominant. Sometimes they're just getting away. I remember going to a friend's house one time, and this pit bull ran up on me, and I said, somebody better watch that dog. It was a party. I said, somebody's gonna watch that dog. That dog is gonna cause a problem at this party. And it kind of came and like checked me, and it was kind of like a little dominant check. And I said, oh, and they just have this dog running around this place? Okay. 10 minutes later into the party, little baby got bit, right? So the thing is that the signs are there, but we can't be in denial. And that's the thing, is when you see anything, you need to treat it like it's a red flag. And a lot of times people, they love their dog can do no harm, but I keep it real with people. I don't beat around the bush. I go, listen, you have a serious problem on your hand. You need to address it. And like I said, with this situation, I'm sure that there was something maybe you didn't recognize, but the owner, I'm sure at one point, saw something in this dog that probably needed to be addressed that probably was overlooked.
Well, let's look at the body language to be aware of for dogs, because we want to know what to look for. One is avoidant behavior.
Correct.
And when you're talking about that, you mean just that. They don't want to engage with you in some way, right?
Right. Well, the thing is, like, a lot of people talk about leash aggression. Well, dogs have a fight or flight instinct. And if they can't run, if they're on leash, they only can fight. So a lot of times you'll see that same dog in a dog park running away and hide from everybody. So if they can't avoid, then they'll turn into a fight, right? And you have to be able to read that body language and say, this dog is not comfortable. And unfortunately, we live in today's society where people don't have manners. They don't ask if they can pet your dog. They just come up and pet your dog. And sometimes dogs are not comfortable. A lot of people aren't even social to let strangers walk up to them and shake their hand or put their hand over their shoulder, So we have to always keep in mind, especially with COVID, a lot of these dogs have not been socialized properly. Some of them aren't getting out because they're too much to handle outside, so they're not familiar with all of the different social environments that they need to be in. And then, again, just dominance. Dominance. Sometimes dogs are just punking their owners. They're walking around the house acting like they paid a mortgage.
Yeah.
And the problem is, people, they say, oh, my dog, they want to let the dog sleep with them. They want to let the dog jump on the couch. They want to let him eat off the ice cream cone. All of that stuff, it just contributes to humanizing. And for some dogs, that's not a problem. But for other dogs, it's a huge problem, and behavior will continue to escalate.
Jumping up. Is that playful behavior or is that a warning sign?
I mean, some dogs jump up on you because they greet. You know, dogs like to lick in the mouth as a way to greet. So sometimes people reinforce that behavior because they let them do it and it's cute when they're young, and then they get mad when the dog gets too big, you know, and then they tell them don't do it. So it's not always a bad thing, but it can be part of, like, to a dominant behavior, being too pushy, biting on your shirt, jumping all over you, you know, rushing past you without really considering you. All of that kind of stuff is dominance. And there's, in the characteristics of temperament that I was talking about, the 16 dimensions, there's dominance with dogs and then there's dominance with people. And both of those need to be addressed because dominance with dogs will end up a dog fight and then the people will end up a biting situation.
Yeah, play biting?
Play biting is a no-go. Okay, no, you got dogs, I'm not a bite toy. Okay? I give the dogs toys to bite, and that's the only thing you bite.
Okay, and then ignoring commands.
Oh, well, that's a big one because a dog needs to perceive you as a leader and a proper communicator. And if a dog sees you as a lower member of the pack and it's a very dominant dog, well, then the dog will probably take it upon itself to act more in a dominant fashion on the day-to-day.
What should you do with a dog that does what happened here? Because she's just petting this dog and it jumps up and bites her in the face and rips her lip off. We want to talk about what should happen with a dog like that. Could that dog ever be trusted again? And if so, what needs to happen before that dog's ever around another person again, ever? We'll talk about that next and what you should and should not do if you or someone else is being attacked by a dog. Talk about all of that. We'll be right back. You go online, click on your favorite news site, and I'll bet you one of the top 10 or 20 stories is going to be someone mauled by a pack of dogs in the neighborhood, a neighborhood dog runs somebody down. You see dog attacks probably 4 out of 5 days that you're looking. It's happened to you inside a home. It happened to you with your cousin's dog. How many surgeries have you had to have so far?
I've had about 6 or 7.
Wow. How many ahead?
I just had one last week, actually.
Wow.
I'm almost towards the end, but maybe just 2 or 3 more minor surgeries.
How have you done mentally and emotionally with
Good.
this?
I mean, it's weird to say that I'm good, but I think right when the attack happened, my dad said something that's always stuck with me. He's like, you can go 1 or 2 ways with this attack. He's like, you can, 1, sit on the couch and feel sorry for yourself, but what's that going to fix? Or 2, he's like, you can just go live your life how you're going to live it and take it day by day, and that's exactly what I've been doing. I've just been doing things that have made me happy, so.
Are you comfortable around dogs?
Yeah, I love dogs. Even this one I'm like wanting to pet. He's so cute. I'm definitely more cautious, I would say, after the attack. I was just more cautious because you know the capability that a dog can have, but any dog. So I think, but they make me happy. I have one of my own, so.
Yeah. Josh, once a dog attacks like it did here, can that dog be trusted? Can that dog be trained? Does it depend on the breed and the age? And I know it depends on the owner, but can that dog be trusted?
Yeah, I think with proper behavior modification and predictable behavior and you actually proofing. So a lot of people tend to teach the dog behavior, but they don't proof it. They don't proof it with the distractions and the social settings that the dog might encounter. And a lot of times, obedience is out the window when the dog is scared or stimulated. So you need to make sure that the behaviors have been proofed, and it's always going to be a management case. I never tell someone, oh, just go act like nothing happened. Like, you always have to keep it in the back of your mind that the dog did what they did. But to answer your question, yes, dogs can be rehabilitated because most aggression a lot of times comes from fear. And if the dog is not as scared, it'll be less prone to react.
Mm-hmm. Most dog bites happen to children, and most of them are in the face. because they're down at that level and they get up in a dog's face.
Right.
And it's just target-rich environment for a dog if they get scared or ears pulled or whatever. What do people need to do with their children around dogs?
Anytime you have children around dogs, they need to be managed 100% of the time, because dogs also have what we call pain aggression. So if you grab the dog's ear or you poke the dog a certain way, the dog, not saying that he's being aggressive with the child intentionally, it's like, ouch, that hurts, and they're just doing it out of a reactive, like kind of just react to it.
I have a list here of recommendations of what to do if you're being attacked by a dog. First, recognize avoidant behavior and act aloof and calm. Don't act like a threat. Find something that occupies the dog's mouth if you're being attacked. Well, give your least dominant arm if there's nothing nearby. Cut off their airway, choke the dog. Use your belt or a leash or a rope to break the bite. Grab their back legs, spray them with water. Try to keep the dog from shaking, moving, dragging. Secure the dog from the waist or the rear. And I think a lot of these are if somebody's being attacked and you're there, what should you do if somebody else is being attacked? But if you're under attack like you were, he's got a hold of your lip, shaking you like a dog toy.
I mean, you can try to think of how you would do it, but until it's actually happening, I don't think you're gonna know how you're gonna react until it's happening.
Dogs can't bite if they don't have air, and they can't bite if you occupy their mouth, right? Because they only have one tool, and that's their mouth. So, it's really about just staying calm. And again, if you scream and if you fight, a lot of times that will trigger more stimulation for the dog.
A message for owners when we come back. We've been talking today about dogs and dog attacks, which obviously are happening too frequently and often with catastrophic, sometimes fatal results. And I said we're going to talk about a message to owners. And how many here own a dog? Raise your hand. Yeah, a lot of people here own dogs. We're responsible. We own 2 dogs. A lot of y'all own dogs. You're clearly legally responsible for what your dogs do, but forget about that. We have to be responsible for our dogs, and we have to know who our dogs are, what their tendencies are, and we need to let people know what our dogs are like. We need to pay attention to them. If they're not trained, we need to get them trained. If you can't afford to get a trainer, you can study it and do the training that you can do. And if you're not comfortable with them around people, if they're not socialized well, somebody comes over, put them in another room, lock them up. But be aware that bad things can happen. I mean, look here at what we're talking about. This is just, don't put somebody in a position that Terry's in, Jacqueline, Brooklyn here. You don't want that responsibility. You don't want to create that result. So be responsible. You've got a dog, you're responsible for that. And you don't want to live with the consequences of not taking that responsibility on. So just be cognizant of it. Thank you so much for having the courage to come and share your story. Terry, thank you. Brooklyn, thanks for talking about this. And thanks for all your expertise and adding what you have with this. And we're going to put a link where people can find you if they want to get more information and all of that. I want to thank all of my guests, and a special thanks to Josh Leverett and Callie Canine. For more information on today's episode, if you'd like to share your story, go to drphil.com. We'll be discussing all this on my social media platforms, and you know where to find me. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to my podcast, Fill in the Blanks, or Robin's podcast, I've Got a Secret with Robin McGraw. You can check them both out on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to podcasts. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.